2,000 words and 11 rewrites, Louisiana's Constitution is the most complex state document in the country. While lawmakers agree that the document needs to be simplified, there's some concern over what can be changed and how that may affect the future of Louisiana's state government. Political historians and research experts weigh in to explain what a constitutional overhaul means for the public.
This is the single most important, proudest moment of my life.
In 1973, lawmakers convened to revamp Louisiana's state constitution, which at the time was a giant, complex document that hadn't been updated since 1921. What ensued was a lengthy process of revisions and debate, drawing the attention of other states interested in doing the same thing. The result was the Louisiana Constitution of 1974, a still complicated document with major changes focused on restructuring Louisiana's branches of government, tax codes, and civil rights. The Constitutional Convention was hailed as a success by the Edwards administration, but today's legislature is still perplexed by the intricacy of the document.
Louisiana ranks among the longest of all state constitutions, having 72,000 words in it. In less than 50 years, the legislature has proposed over 300 amendments, of which 210 have been incorporated into the 1974 Constitution.
Governor Jeff Landry says he wants to hold another constitutional convention and possibly punt the newest version to voters in time for election season. But he hasn't given specifics on what he'd like to change.
I believe a new, uncomplicated Constitution, reflective of our own great nations, is a bold but much needed step towards making our state great.
There's discussions about, well, there are things in the Constitution right now that actually should be statutes.
Dr. Albert Samuels is a political science chair at Southern University, and he says the governor will most likely change certain provisions enshrined in the Constitution to state laws.
But that also implies that they can be changed a lot easier.
Samuels says this could pose a problem for some lawmakers. You see, our Constitution is unique in the fact that it has provisions for seemingly small things like very localized aspects of the budget. Tampering with this could create problems for certain districts and programs. But at the same time, it could keep voters from deciding on overly complicated amendments that aren't relevant to them.
Why should voters in Bastrop, Louisiana, be voting on whether or not the city of Baker or the city of Central can have its own school district?
Barry Irwin, the president and CEO of Council for a Better Louisiana, says one of the reasons our Constitution is so complicated is because of a pervasive lack of trust in our government.
What we do is put things in our Constitution to protect funding for X or Y, or for the coast, for education, for transportation, whatever it might be. But we put these things in there to protect them because we don't want the legislature fooling with them. We want it to be there.
Currently, any changes to the Constitution would require a 2/3 vote from the legislature and a public election. Changing the provisions to state law would eliminate the need for all of that. Instead, the legislature could just repeal a statute with a majority vote from the House or Senate. Irwin says it's unclear what the timeline for a constitutional convention would be.
I think people are trying to put it on the fast track, which is why you hear this talk about actually starting the convention in some ways while this legislative session is technically still, in session, to kind of get a head start.
Plans for a constitutional convention have not been finalized, but if a new document were drafted, it'd most likely appear on the November 5th ballot.